I remember when I started reading spiritual books 25 years ago, and I had a friend who I met at a Neely Donald Walsh retreat. She was really into the spiritual part of practicing meditation. When I came to her apartment, she had posted everywhere around her house these small stickers that had quotes that were supposed to wake her up or make her feel remembrance of the wisdom that she had read. And I always thought, how is it that she has all those posted everywhere and yet she doesn't actually live them or embody them? And later, when I was ordained as a Buddhist monk, I came to use a term that I call intellectual pornography, which is the idea that we, in society, we want to have these feelings of just like gratification. So people watch porn, they watch videos, or they try to consume social media to feel something. And many people get into the spiritual scene, they do the same thing, but with spiritual books. Problem is actually made worse by, especially a tradition like Theravada Buddhism, where we value the knowledge of the Buddha's teaching so highly, because they consider that the Buddha was the greatest teacher ever lived, and so everything he says must be perfect, and like you can't question that. So if I would just learn that information, then I have understood what he understood. And this is such a misconception. It took me a long time to really see how people just fall in love with information and then just believe that if they just understand it, then they've like got something, they gained wisdom. And I would listen to these people who talked so wisely, and they sounded so reasonable, and they had all these quotes, and they would understand things, and I was like, wow, I wish I knew that stuff, because I can't remember things like that. And at first I felt, I wish I had that, until I started to understand, like, wait a minute, they're suffering just as much as anyone else, if not more. They have so much they push and pull towards, or distortion, as I say, when things didn't go the way they wanted, or when someone didn't agree with their teachings, or when someone misinterpreted their interpretation of the teachings. So I started calling this intellectual pornography, because I saw this in a lot of people. They came to Buddhism or to any tradition where you focus inwards, and they were more focused on the information than the transformation. Wow, that sounded really catchy. And one of the best ways to explain this is with a simple experience of not feeling the sense of self. It's something I talk about a lot. And there's all these texts and things you can read to try to understand what is the self. And they're completely pointless. They don't lead to anything. Just understanding the knowledge, just knowing the information doesn't change anything. Because it's not something that you need to understand, it's something you need to feel. And I think people then use the word in Buddhism, they use the word wisdom, prajna, or a way of deeper understanding. And they're like, okay, I get it. I need to deeper understand it, not just understand it. So I need to study the text just more, and I need to study them in the original language, instead of simply sitting down and practicing and seeing it for yourself. It's easy to get lost. It's easy to sit in a place like this where you can really feel your sense of self lessen, and feel how you can let go of that. Instead of doing that, I could be reading some spiritual text, some book where I would find the information to how to let go of the self, instead of actually touching that part, which is inherently uncomfortable to do, because the self doesn't want to be let go of. It's there to protect itself, to protect the sense of you, because it pushes against things that it thinks are threatening, and it pulls towards things that it thinks will help it feel better. And that's perfectly natural. I think it's a survival instinct. I personally don't believe that it's a complicated explanation with other lifetimes or anything difficult like that. I mean, philosophical like that. It's just a way for nature to help us survive, because you pull towards the things you believe are going to keep you safe and help you survive as a living being, and it pushes away towards the things that it finds are dangerous. We don't really need to bring it further than that. You can make all kinds of extrapolations and interpretations of why that is and how that works, but it's not really necessary. You can simply see that it's a process that is meant to try to keep you safe. But somewhere along the line, we developed a brain that can understand, analyze, and figure things out. And we don't actually need this process to work like that. And even worse, somewhere along the line, we started having social media, internet, advertisement, and interconnectedness in a way that we never had before. So as soon as you turn on your telephone, this system of protecting you is being aggravated. Turn on the phone and there's all these advertisements of, oh, your life isn't good, you should have it like this. And then you start feeling bad, like, yeah, I should probably have it like that. I'll buy that product to feel better. Or you watch Facebook and you see how all your friends are posting all these beautiful photos of how amazing their lives are. And so you start aggravating this sense of self. If you would read all these scriptures, they wouldn't really help you that much. You need to actually face that pain, to look at that. And then, of course, a good idea would be to lessen your use of social media and things that make it worse. Meaning that it's not that it's bad to let go of these things, but it is difficult because the sense of you doesn't want that. And that sense of you kind of takes a back road around, saying like, okay, you know what, I'm going to keep my sense of self here because I'm going to find a way to keep myself alive by, if I understand the information, then I can keep the sense of me here because I get it. I'm strong. I understand my teacher, and now I don't need to do these things that actually threaten the sense of self. So you kind of bypass that by believing that the information is the thing, whereas it's an experience. You need to experience it. You need to let go of it, and that is, like I said, inherently painful to do. It's something that we just don't like doing because it feels uncomfortable. It can even feel painful or create anxiety because you don't want to let go of that control. So by all means, keep writing books, keep being inspired, and keep feeling that feeling of that there's something out there that you can do to work with yourself. But don't get caught in the trap of believing that you need to read more books or find more information. If anything, read them as a way to supplement TV, Netflix, social media, whatever you want to, and just read these positive books instead. That's a much better use of your time. And then actually do what they say. I mean, what's the good of following some kind of precepts, knowing some kind of precepts or rules about how to be a good person if you don't actually follow them? Then just do them. Like, try to be a good person, try to help out, try to be happy, try to be in a state of good mood or just enjoying being here, being alive. It's not difficult when you really start focusing on the world around you and stop being so stuck in your mind, because the mind and the thoughts have a really easy time of pulling you away from being here. There are a lot of traps and ways that you can make your own practice turn against you and make actually you suffer more because of the thing that is supposed to make you enjoy life more and feel happier. And one of them can be getting stuck in the idea of knowing means understanding. I made a video about other things that can actually really ruin your life when you start practicing, because there are a lot of people who start practicing spirituality or meditation and then they just completely wreck their lives without understanding why that is a bad idea to do, because they believe they're on a high path, so they just ruin the lives of themselves and people around them and make life really difficult. And I made a video about that here that you can watch if you want to find out more how to prevent yourself from making your own life and the lives of people around you more difficult, and instead focusing on how can I enjoy life more and be happier.